Emails are not just messages. They are written records of your professionalism. One unclear email can create a lot of confusion. Let's discuss some do's and don'ts of email writing. Number 1. Use a clear subject line. Remember, subject is like a trailer to the movie. It has to be attractive. It has to give the reader some idea what the email is about, but not the whole picture. So the reader, after taking a look at the inbox, must feel curious to read your email. That is the whole point of writing the subject. There is another thing which you should remember while writing the subject is that it's not a whole complete sentence. So please don't write a full stop after the subject line. For example, if the subject is meeting rescheduled, do not put a full stop after this. This is not a whole sentence. This is just a phrase. Another thing to remember is in a subject, there are content words and then there are structural words. Content words are the words which carry the meaning of the sentence, and structural words are those words which create a framework. For example, to, for, in, these are structural words. Words like meeting, reschedule, these are content words. They carry the meaning of the sentence. So content words in the subject have to be capitalized. The first letter needs to be capitalized. The structural words like in, for, you should not capitalize the first letter. So this is another tip that you should keep in mind when writing the subject. Never write the subject like hi, urgent, important with lot of exclamation marks after it. This subject makes no sense. The reader has no idea what the email is about. So this is not a good example of a subject. Number 2 is check the salutation and closing. The main content of your email, it starts with a greeting like hello, dear, hi, etc. That is called the salutation or salute when you meet someone. Closing is the remark that you write at the end. For example, yours sincerely, regards, thanks. This is called the closing. Always remember that the salutation and closing need to be in sync with each other. If you use a very formal salutation like respected Mr. Mehta, the closing cannot be take care because that is highly informal. So closing needs to be yours sincerely, yours faithfully, etc. Then the salutation and closing are in sync with each other. This is in case of very formal email. So if you're writing to an important customer, external communication, I suggest that you go with more formal salutations like dear so and so or respected so and so. These are very formal. If the communication is internal with your colleagues, with your peers, then you can use a more neutral tone or even informal tone like hi Rahul, because Rahul is a team member, you know that person. So you don't need to write respected Rahul, that would seem ridiculous, right? So for informal or neutral situations, you can go with the salutation hi, hello, these are neutral. And the closing would be regards or take care. These are in sync with the salutation. So always remember that salutation and closing are important. They need to be in sync with each other. And one last tip, after the salutation, like dear Mr. Mehta, don't forget to write a comma. Punctuation marks are important. After the closing, for example, regards, don't forget to write a comma. So after the salutation and closing, at both the places, you need to write a comma. Point number 3, get to the point. Don't beat around the bush. People have no time to read long, lengthy emails and which are unclear till the end. So your email needs to be structured. You need to first tell why you're writing the email. For example, I'm writing to inform you that. I'm writing to inquire about the classes. I'm writing to request a leave for so many days. So the first sentence should be why you're writing the email. Then next sentence should be the main content, that is the key points. For example, I would like to know about the duration of the class. I would like to know about the faculty who is teaching me, etc. So all the details that you want. And the third point in the structure should be what is the actionable point based on the previous content. For example, please let me know by Sunday evening, or please let me know whether you're available for the meeting, so that the reader knows what is expected of him or her. So the point is, get to the point. Let it be structured. Point number 4. Select the correct style or register. Register means style, formal, informal, neutral. So when you start writing an email, generally we don't give this a thought at all that what style should I use. And by style, I mean what kind of grammar, vocabulary. It changes with who you are communicating with. If it is external communication with an important customer, usually you would go with more formal language, correct? If it is internal communication with a colleague, with someone you know very well, then it would probably more informal. So select the style consciously. For example, don't use many emojis when you are writing a formal email. In fact, don't use emojis at all. Save them for your team chats. Let me give you a few examples of how we need to change language according to the situation or the level of formality. For example, I'm sorry is very informal. Instead of I'm sorry, we can say I apologize for something. Instead of saying, can you please submit the report? If you say, I would be grateful if you could submit the report, it sounds more formal. Instead of saying, what do you need? If you say, please let us know your requirements, it's saying the same thing but in a formal way. And the last tip which I would like to leave you with is that try to match the style of the sender. If the sender has sent the mail in a very informal way, you have to respond in an informal way. If the person says, hi Rahul, and you respond by saying, dear Mr. Smith, then you're not matching the style of the sender. So always keep in mind when you choose language, make sure that you match the style of the sender. Next point, be careful with to, CC and BCC. Do you have any idea why we have these 3 different fields? Let's start with the to field. Who are the people who you should mention in the to field? Does that depend on the hierarchy? No, not at all. Many people are under this impression that if you're writing to a person, let's say the general manager of the company, that person should be in the to field. If in the same email you want to write to a junior, then that person should be in the CC field. That's not the case. Remember, the people who are going to take some direct action about your email are the ones who are to be mentioned in the to field. So it could be the junior person who is going to do something about it, then the junior person should be mentioned in the to field. Now, if the general manager, the mid-level employee and junior level employee all are going to do something about the email, then you have to maintain hierarchy. So first you mention the general manager's email ID, then the mid-level person's, and then the junior level person's email ID. Now, who should be in the CC field? CC stands for carbon copy. So in the CC field, they are the people who are not going to take any direct action for the email, but they simply need to know what is happening. They need to be in the loop. They are the ones who are not going to do anything about it. They simply need to know. So they are the ones in the CC field. And then what is the whole point of having BCC? BCC stands for blind carbon copy. Now, the ones that you have mentioned in BCC are a secret. No one knows that you have put these people in the BCC field. What could be the reason for that? Obviously, It is required to maintain a person's privacy. So when you're marketing on a large scale, you don't want to disclose the people's names, surnames, their identity to everyone. So to maintain the privacy of the individual, all these people are mentioned in the BCC field. So they are typically used for marketing, mass promotional activities. Often the BCC field is misused in the corporates. So many times people use this field to escalate matters. So they put their higher officers in the BCC field and they copy paste some earlier emails and then they say, see, this is what the person has been writing to me, and the person has no knowledge of it. So this is kind of unethical. You shouldn't be doing it. So it should be used only for mass promotional activities ideally. So this is a short tip on using the two CC and BCC fields efficiently. Point number 6. Proofread the email once before hitting the send button. Remember, email once sent is sent forever. You cannot retrieve it. So you cannot afford to make any mistakes. For example, if you write, please find attached something, and you forget to attach the attachment, actually the PDF or the Word document, it will make a very bad impression on the reader or leave the reader confused. Where is the attachment? So always check for dates, names, grammatical errors, spelling errors once before you send the email. The last tip I'm going to leave you with is that answer swiftly. Email etiquette demands that you reply within 24 hours. Even if you don't have an immediate solution, you can always reply by saying, I do not have the solution right now, but I will let you know by Friday 7 p.m. for example, okay? So that the person knows that you have read the email and this response is very professional and this is required. So don't leave the person hanging. Reply swiftly and generally before 24 hours. Now I have a quick activity for you guys. Pause and think. You're going to see two emails on the screen. Which one do you think is more professional? Option A. Hi sir, please do the needful. Option B. Dear Mr. Kumar, could you please confirm the next steps of action by EOD today? Which email do you think sounds more professional? You're absolutely right. It is option B because it has clarity, it has the right tone, it is polite, and it is complete. I hope you found this video helpful and you start implementing these tips while writing good emails. So before you send the email, just ask yourselves these 3 questions. Is it clear? Is it polite? And is it actionable? If you have these 3 things in place, you're all set to go. All the best. For more such content, like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also join our online and offline courses at Bapat Academy. Enjoy English!